All right. Well, we got Efrain Sosa. Efrain, uh, business development consultant,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. First of all, we know each other, since high school? Well, we went to elementary, right?
Yeah, we go all the way back to elementary school, Gillette Elementary, right there.
Gillette Elementary.
Yeah.
Then we went to Kingsborough.
Kingsborough. And then McCullum.
Then McCullum.
Yep.
Yeah. What did you do right after McCullum?
After McCullum, I went to A&M in Kingsville. Went out there for a couple of years. Then my GPA took a dive. Came back home. Started working at Coke after that. Then a family started right after that.
Right after,
and then got back into school. Working nights, having a family. I was on the 15-year plan eventually, and I got my degree in 2011, and then I got my master's in 2013.
I was in the same plan, 50. What did you do with that Coke?
I was a merchandiser, sales rep, and then I took the Pepsi challenge and went over to Pepsi for a few years. Yeah. So I was there for about 13 years. Unfortunately, I got hurt. I had to get out of that and just started, seeing where I would land after that.
How did you get hurt? I mean, did you actually go and distribute the?
Yeah, so I was a merchandiser and a sales rep for your H-E-Bs, Walmarts, and then your Exxons, stuff like that. So the way I got hurt, I was in a car accident. I was at a red light, and the guy came off the highway and just slammed into me. Came out right off the highway, didn't even slow down.
Now, was this while you were working, or
yeah, it was while I was working, and I was on light duty and stuff like that, and my back was just never the same. So, if you're going all day long slinging cases, trying to, keep the stores prepped, your back takes its toll.
What did you drive, like a CDL or big trucks?
At that time, if you're on a route, you drove your own vehicle. So I was in a little Honda Civic, and he just came and just plowed into me. So I was never had a CDL, never was on the big trucks or anything like that. So, yeah, that's how it happened. I always tell my wife, I was like, I think I'd still be there today, but in a different position.
Wow, hopefully. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, you never know, but, threw me on a different path, and that's kind of where I am now. And now looking at business consulting. So, I can help out the small to medium-sized businesses really look at their processes and their strategies.
I was reading a little bit on your bio. Did you do a little bit of sales over there?
Yeah, I did sales. I did sales when I was with Pepsi. I had my own route. Selling into our promotions and stuff like that. And then I went over to JP Morgan Chase, and, going from, working from 6 a.m. till about 7 p.m., with your hair on fire, trying to get all your route done, to really going and them throwing you into like a cubicle.
Yeah.
Man, talking about a culture shock. And I was like, what else do you want me to do? And they're like, hey, well, slow down, Speedy. It's only your first day here. I'm like, I'm bored already.
Yeah.
So I left there, and I went into insurance with my brother. Did insurance for a little while, and that's where I started, getting the taste for the business development side. It was good to go and network and talk to people and see kind of how you could help them out. But insurance just has a negative stigma to it, and it's really hard to. Everybody's like, "Oh, I want the cheapest deal." But that's not the best deal for you. Like, I don't care, cheapest deal. And okay, there you go, cheapest deal. And then they get upset whenever they get into an accident or whatever. And
well, we were just talking earlier about salesmen. We were having like a little discussion. Like sometimes salesmen get a pretty bad rap.
Yeah, you get the sleazy salesman rap if you're only looking at for your own good. If you're not really trying to solve a problem for the client, then they're not going to like you. They're not going to trust you. And that's the biggest piece of being a sales rep. They need to know you, like you, and trust you, because at the end of the day, they don't care what you sell.
Right.
It's just about them and their pocketbook, right? And that's where, and even with Pepsi, I worked with a lot of mom and pops out there too, that I saw them struggling because you could see the frustration on their face. They're running a store, trying to take food home to their family. Their kids work there. The wife works there, and they're trying to take money home to their families. And I was trying to get them the best deal I could to turn the product faster. So that's where I started getting the real of these people need help. Mm-hmm. Because you're looking at all the startups, and don't get me wrong, startups are great. And then you look at the big business, they can afford to have all these people on the payroll. But the small to medium sized businesses, they don't have the funds to bring on a full time employee just to do business development or to help them with their processes.
A lot of times their employees are their own family members, right? The sons and
the sons. Yeah, and I don't know if I said this in my LinkedIn stories, but my dad, he had his own T-shirt shop back in the day, and they made shirts with silk screening, and they were in business for about 15 years over here on the south side, off Commercial.
I remember, yeah. I remember, yeah.
They had a spot right there off Commercial. Then they moved down to Pleasanton Road area, and I asked him the other day because I needed to get really some background. Like, hey, if somebody came in and talked to you and said, if I can help you with your business processes and your strategy, would that be helpful? And he said, yes. He said, man, he told me, and he was pretty candid with me. He's like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just came up with the idea of let's see if we can make some shirts and sell them. So they started in my grandpa's house over there off West Gerald, and then they got the spot over here off Commercial, and they learned along the way. And then they had me. I was a 13-year-old kid messing up shirts for them on the weekends and after school. And he told me, he's like, well, you were cheap labor. Well, thanks, Dad. So he didn't have the business plan in mind. He didn't really go to college. He was in right out of high school, went to the Air Force, got married, and that was his plan. Worked for UPS for a bit, but he didn't have the profit margin in mind, which is what you need to. That's how you're going to pay your bills and keep the lights on, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't have a specific, this is how much I'm going to charge for each shirt, regardless of who it is. He just went and made shirts, and if the client accepted the bid, great. If not, then fine. He didn't really handle any objections or anything. He wasn't really a sales rep, right?
There's no rebuttals or
no rebuttals on why or what can I do, and
or how about another counter offer?
Or how about a different style shirt, or how about a different logo or whatever to help you out. And then of course you had the friend prices come out. I'm like, man, you can't. I understand you want to help out your friends, but helping your friends isn't going to put food on your table. Yeah. That's what you and was it Chris, the guy that was on here the last episode?
My cousin Jason.
Your cousin
we were
Jason.
Talking about that.
Jason, we're talking about it, right? Because people wanted y'all to play, and hey, just come out and play. But still, y'all need to pay for the equipment to haul it around everywhere. Gas isn't cheap. So he didn't have the profit margin in mind, and he said that would have helped out a lot because we didn't know what to charge. I was like, so you didn't have your cost of goods for what the shirt was, the ink, your labor, or me? He's like, no, we just sold them for whatever, and if they took it, they took it. So that triggered me a lot, and I told him these are the people I want to help, because these are the mom and pops that really they don't want to work for anybody else. Mm-hmm. They've been there, they've done that. Now they want to do something on their own, or it's something that they were grandfathered into, and they want to keep a family business going, but they don't know how.
And these small businesses, they're you could say they're the backbone of the country, right?
Oh yeah. There's a backbone, especially, growing up on the south side. That's all you saw was mom and pops. There was my dad's shop, which was ES Sports back in the day. I don't know if you remember Alex Acosta Sports, which was right there across the old Peter Piper. I don't know what, on the old post office right there. And then there was Southside Music as well. Three, I want to say like cornerstone shops that I knew of growing up as, my childhood that are no longer around. Yeah. And I had a buddy ask me, he emailed me, he's like, I love what you're doing for small to medium-sized business, or what you want to do. What would you have done differently for Southside Music? Or how could you have helped them? I was like, man, that's in the world of the online merchant, Amazon, you're going to get undersold regardless. But if you have your niche market,
right?
That's where all the high school kids went to get their equipment. But if you went in there, it wasn't really organized. So did they really have like an inventory system, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you even know what you have? What is it going to cost? How long is it going to turn? Is that going to turn for you? or are you going to sit on a tuba for 3 years until some kid comes in and buys it? You know, and how are you gonna market with the high schools in the area or the middle schools, because that's where you start a band.
That's right.
You know, could you teach lessons? What could you do to help build not only your brand but your credibility and your market? Because at the end of the day, I mean, my dad, I asked him, what did you do to market yourself back then? Well, I sent schools a fax of my price list. I was like, wow, faxing, you can't survive on just faxing anymore at all. You got to have a social media platform. But back then, social media wasn't around.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. And I heard that now that if you're a business and you don't have social media, it's like you don't even exist.
Exactly. Yep. And that's what people don't really understand. And it's the old school mentality. Oh, I don't need social media. We'll be fine without it. Or I even heard one client a while back, well, I'll just get rid of all my computers and go back to paper. Like, you really want to do that? Do you know how difficult that's going to be to pay everything via check? No. You're going to have to be the one writing a check, balancing your statements. What are you going to do? You can't do that. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
Or it is almost impossible. So that's where this Sosa Consulting and helping small to medium-sized businesses came out and was birthed from, because they need help. Like you said, they're the back.
What would you say are your main responsibilities as a business consultant?
Yeah, just looking to how I can help. My brother kind of slapped me on the wrist the other day because I told him, I go, you know what, there's people out there that can't afford anybody, but if I can help that one person, even if it's of a pro bono side deal, I'll help them out. They need somebody they can turn to. If you look at all like we were talking about the startups, you can go downtown and they have a shop or a networking event that they could go to, and they'll find somebody that can help them out. Big business, they can look into their kitty and find some money to hire on some new kid.
Before we didn't see business development consultants, right? Your dad didn't have anybody there.
Yeah.
Now it's a business.
Yeah. Now it's a business. Now there's consultants out there. I mean, if you look at, I prefer not to name any, but there's consultants out there everywhere, right?
But I guess in a way, what started it, I'd say maybe people like what's the name, Zig Ziglar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And people like him.
Yeah. Look, and then John Maxwell as well.
Mm-hmm.
They're more leadership styles, right? But
they started though in sales, right?
They started in sales, and I'm reading a really good sales book right now from Mike Weinberg, and he's talking about there's no more good sales coaches, leadership coaches. There's all these people that try and just utilize technology to make it all better. Yeah, technology is great, but if you're using just a CRM, which is your relationship management tool, to bank on bringing in sales and not really keep coaching your people to go out there and develop the networks and develop the skills and really fall flat on their face because they did something wrong and they blew a deal, then they're not going to help anybody. People need sales coaches, they need development coaches, they need management coaches as well. And those are all kind of things I want to touch on, because I got my master's in business administration. That doesn't, and don't get me wrong, that doesn't even make me an expert in any field, but what they didn't teach me is how to really help people. They taught me the basics of how to look in a book and figure out the answers, yada yada, right? Work in a group format, and that's great. But at the end of the day, they want you to work for the bottom line of somebody else.
Yeah. I went to school too. I mean, I got my bachelor's in business management, and that's what I learned too. Is what I learned is to work for somebody else.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're gonna make a great minion one day. Thanks, awesome. So they didn't teach you how to be an entrepreneur, how to go help people, how to be a philanthropist, how to give back to the community, which is, you ask, what do I want to do? And that's one, it comes down to one thing. I want to help people. If I can help that mom and pop streamline their business, I saw a great YouTube video the other day, and he broke it down very simple. As a restaurant, you go to a restaurant because they have one or two main dishes you like. You could care less about the other 90% of their menu, right? Think of your favorite Mexican restaurant.
Yeah.
For me, it's always the carne guisada plate. Maybe the puffy tacos every once in a while.
For me, is when we go to Jen's with the kung pao chicken, the Chinese. That's the only thing I want.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one thing you go to. So like the inventory system. You have all this stuff on your shelves. Nobody wants. Why are you going to push everything else? Why not focus? That's where you get your strategic plan and processes in place. You focus on that, and you capitalize it. Yeah, you sell the other stuff here and there, but that's your focus. How do you make that better?
What are they selling right now? The chicken sandwich?
Yeah, Popeye's the chicken sandwich and Chick-fil-A. So yeah, exactly. Because they need another stream of revenue, right? Popeye's, they've been making chicken for years.
Yeah.
So why not? You're kind of late to the chicken sandwich game. So.
But I mean, they're getting what is it? How did it all start? Did somebody post a meme or something, or did they actually?
That's probably the way it happened.
Right?
Yeah, that's the way everything starts now. There's a meme that goes viral, and people start arguing about that instead of Area 51.
Yeah.
And then they start looking at the chickens.
They're getting free publicity out of this, right?
Yeah.
It's like, who's winning? The only one who's winning is Chick-fil-A and Popeyes.
Exactly, and so and then KFC and churches, they're all on the side of the road left there. So waiting to see who's gonna let them in the fight.
Pick up the scraps, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but yeah, that's the way the word of mouth goes, right? And you've always heard there's no bad publicity out there. You're always gonna get something out of it, regardless of where you're at.
Question from the audience. They're wondering, kind of like myself, why we see so many small businesses all over San Antonio, especially on the south and west side, and a lot of them seem to be struggling. And even though they have a lot of them have really interesting products and services, do you think it's because is it because of stubbornness? Is it because they lack the financial means to expand their business, or do you think it's because of a lack of education?
Good question. So for me, it's a little bit of everything, all those aspects that you touched on, but ultimately it depends on their business plan. What do they want to get out of their business? What's their purpose? What's their long-term goals? Granted, you have people out there that don't want to dip into technology and social media to grow their business. They have a mindset of we've always done it this way, so if it's not broken, don't fix it kind of mindset, the old school mentality. But oftentimes now you do have to reinvent that wheel to see how it's going to look on the other side. If you need to bring on another type of product or service that could help you diversify some more and have more visibility, then that's really what's going to help you out. But ultimately, it's going to be your business plan. Do you have a solid mission and vision statement? Do you have the demographic? Do you have the market? Have you done any of that research? Because ultimately, that's what it comes down to. If you don't have your target market, then you're really not going to hit. It's like buckshot. You're going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
You need to really bring it in, and then once you get more stability with that niche market, then you can start looking at other options. But if you start out this wide at first, you're going to spread yourself thin. You're going to burn out. You really have to focus that in.
But where does the good old-fashioned hard work come in? Because I know you see like immigrants.
Yep.
They come here, they have nothing.
Yeah.
Yet they come over here and they succeed.
They do.
And then we have people here that are born here. They have the education.
Mm-hmm.
You have the resources.
Yep.
And they're not as successful.
I'd say that's where that work ethic comes in. If you don't have the work ethic to get up at 5 a.m. every day, we talk about faith. If you don't get up at 5 a.m. every day, read your scripture, develop yourself, and go out and do something about it, and make your product or your business better, then you're already defeated, because there's a million people out there already hitting the streets and doing their job. And if you're not developing yourself and your product, then people are just lazy. Unfortunately, that's what it comes down to, right? People are just lazy. People are not driven. People don't want more out of their lives. They're busy ho-humming it through their lives, and not really worrying about how they can better their lives. They're blaming somebody else. They're blaming the system. They're blaming the immigrants, because they're coming in and stealing our jobs. Well, the job was there 20 years ago. The job's still there now. You just don't want it. So what are you going to do?
Say right now the students, right? They're all right out of college. They can't find a job, and a lot of people were saying, well, we need a certain amount. Like, I'm not saying handouts, but help.
Yep.
But how much is too much help, and how much is too little help?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, if you're like, I think we were kind of kicking around a few ideas before the camera started rolling. Is you need to be willing to get your hands dirty. People don't want to get their hands dirty anymore. I mean, I mentioned that sales book I'm reading is, when I was coming up through the ranks at Pepsi, I had my managers were out there slinging cases with me. They're over there in dress shirts and, nice pants and nice shoes. I'm over there in my steel-toe boots, and we're slinging cases side by side, and they're getting sweaty with me.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I tell them, hey, I appreciate your help today. And one of them would just say, I didn't do anything. We need those kind of people. We need those kind of influences in our lives. These kids are too busy being influenced by people that they're too busy being influenced by Cardi B and the Kardashians nowadays.
Influencers.
Influencers. Granted, hey, I'm not going to beat anybody up. That's a different show, different time, different place. But that's who, and they're idolizing these people, and they're thinking that they're going to be the next, Kylie Jenner that's going to come out with their own clothing line. Well, I'm sure it took time and development on the back end. They just didn't start doing it.
Right.
So
you don't see the extra hours that they put in.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for some, I know I work a full-time job.
Right.
And then we do this on the side, so it's like you work 8 to 10 hours on your job, and then you go another 6 to 10 more hours.
Yeah, exactly. And my daughter, she'll be like, oh, I'm so tired, after working 6 hours. I'm like, well, yeah, but you don't have a family to worry about. You don't have the mortgage to worry about. You don't have any of that to worry about yet. You're still living at home.
Yeah.
So it's like, you really need to figure out what your purpose is, because working where you're working is a good job, but are you really going to be able to support a family when at the end of the day when it's time?
Have you seen the difference? Like, I see the difference now, that how my grandpa treated my dad and how my dad treated me, is that I guess my dad wanted me to have a little bit more than what he had.
Yeah.
And in a way, I guess you spoil your son that way, right? You spoil your kids that way.
Yeah, you spoil your kids. I mean, my parents spoiled me at the same turn, right? Because both of my grandpas always valued education. Go get your degree. Go to school. Go to school. Okay, cool. I went to school. Now what? Go work.
But back then it was a different concept.
Back then it was a different concept. The education, having that piece of paper had more weight to it than now. Everybody's got that associate's degree, that bachelor's degree, right? It doesn't have the same kind of weight to it anymore. I think. But I always tell my daughter the story. I was like, what? When you were younger, I had to go to Coinstar because I needed gas. I didn't have any money. My paycheck wasn't coming in. I wasn't making the right amount of money at that time. So I was like, I don't want you to have to struggle like that, to have to say, well, I need to go bust open, your kid's piggy bank or whatever just to go get gas. That sucks.
But I was asking you, where's that limit? Because I remember helping my son out one time with a school project.
Yeah.
I draw pretty good, and he had to draw something, so I drew it for him. I did it for him.
Right.
And then the next year is like, or the next time he wanted me to do it again, and
Yeah.
he won a prize with my drawing.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, I can't do that anymore with my other kids now. You know what? I'm not gonna touch your homework.
Yeah, that's the way
You
it
know,
is.
where do you draw that line? I was like,
Yeah, and it's funny. I mean, talking to my daughter, and my daughter's from my first marriage. So she's the only granddaughter on my side of the family. Spoiled rotten. You know, everybody calls her the darling because she's grandpa's darling. The only granddaughter, the first grandchild to that. You know, to add on to that, and I think I've hindered her. I've hindered her because I've done always too much for her. Granted, you want to do for your kids, but at the end of the day, she still uses that crutch.
yeah,
You know, it's like you need to want more. You need to do more. You need to. I was like, aside from picking her up and shaking her, you know, what is it going to take? You know, I told her, you know what, you're saying you can't do X, Y, and Z. Well, you can. You went to high school. You got your degree. You graduated. You walked the stage. Now what? What's your next goal? Your next goal should be, whatever it is. Now you got to build up to it. How are you going to get there? What are you going to do? I can't do it for you. I'm here with the family. I go, if anybody has you know, should be, you know, moaning and crying about it, be me, because I just got laid off. But I'm not. I still get up at 5 a.m., still read scripture, go to the gym, develop myself, figure out what I want to do. Okay, I want to do business consulting. How do I do that? You need to do for yourself. You need to really have a purpose that's bigger than you. Have your why, because, you know, my why is my family and my kids, my wife. They're my why. And what fuels that is my determination. My purpose of wanting to help people fuels me to help me with my why.
that's your motivation. Right there.
That's your motivation. You can read all the motivational books you want in the world. You can listen to Les Brown, Tony Robbins, all these guys, and even them, they'll tell you, yeah, today is great. You'll walk out of here, hands raising. I'm gonna go do it. You hear Rocky theme song in the background. Yeah, you're ready to take on the world, and then boom, somebody tells you no. Okay, well, I guess I can't do it now. It's like, you got.
I tried everything.
Yeah, I tried everything from one day to the next. No, did you? You know, you got to keep moving. You got to keep plugging away.
Heard that before. It's like-
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I think it does. It a lot of it's work ethic that's passed down from my grandpa to my dad to me. I'm trying to pass it down to my son and my daughter as well. So now my wife's like, I think you're a little bit harder on Ethan. He's my 6-year-old. I think you're a little bit harder on him sometimes. Yeah, I know. But he's a boy and I want him to be tough. You know, he's a boy, I want him to be strict. He's a boy, I want him to be, you know, determined and know what he wants to do. So I gotta pull back the reins a little bit.
And it's hard, right? Because you don't want to see them hurt. You don't want to see them struggle. Yet, I mean, if you help them out, it's like you're, like you said, you're giving them a crutch. You're hindering them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that one of the best gifts right now that I gave to my daughter is making her pay her way through school. I took out student loans to help me pay through school, and I'm still paying on those student loans.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I joke with the wife. I was like, man, we could have got a second house for what I have in student loans, right? And I told my daughter, you don't want student loans. Granted, you know, people out there, it works out great for them. They pay them off really quick, and boom, they're off and running. But to show my daughter, to make her have some skin in the game, is you need to pay your way. And she's the only one that I think is seeing the issues with that. All the other parents that I talk to and I tell that to, they're like, awesome. Yeah, make her pay for it. Make her do it. It's a growing pains. Yeah.
It's also very different when you by yourself pay for it. You know, it's like you earn it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see things differently.
Yeah, it's just like back in the day when I paid off my first car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my car. It's my car.
This is your show, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, I appreciate the opportunity you've given me on to come out here, and it's just, if I can help any small to medium-sized business out there that's struggling, that doesn't really know what the next step is. If I can help them get unstuck, then I've done my job. If the first, 15-minute consultation helps you get unstuck, then hey, there you go, 15 minutes free, whatever. I'm not going to nickel and dime people. I'm not going to expect too much in return. I do expect some kind of gratitude. Yeah, thank you for your help. Thank you for your time. Cool, awesome. You're welcome. If you really appreciate that, then that's really all I ask for. And pay it forward.
Yeah.
How can you help others? Pay it forward with, hey, I gave my employees a Christmas bonus because you helped me out this year. Whatever, But keep paying it forward. There's too much of people being selfish in this world. That's kind of where we're at right now. And if we continue to help others and help your neighbor, then that's really where it all comes. Because I don't know about you, but back in the day, I knew everybody lived down the street. Up and down the street, I knew everybody. Today, yeah, I know my neighbors high and by. I don't know them like I used to know my neighbors when I was growing up.
Yeah.
You spent the night at each other's houses, barbecued all the time. A lot of that close knit community is gone.
I don't know if you heard of that James Limpton. I'd like to do those questions with you. The questions he asked his actors.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we could close this out. Is that cool? All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that then.
All right, cool.
All right. So here we go. First question. What is your favorite word?
Shit.
What is your least favorite word?
I use too many ums when I'm talking, so that's my least favorite word.
All right. What turns you on creatively? Spiritually or emotionally?
Creatively?
Creatively.
Spiritually?
Spiritually or emotionally?
Or emotionally. Oh, wow. Too much dead airspace right here and just killing it.
First thing comes to your mind. Come on.
That right now for me, that's the Bible. I always find something new in there that and then when I go to church, the pastor talks about it and it's like, that's what he meant.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I got there with a new perspective. Gotcha.
What turns you off?
People not being nice to other people.
What is your favorite curse word? I think we know that already.
My favorite curse word. It'd have to be the F word. I'm not gonna.
All right. What sound or noise do you love?
My son's laugh.
What sound or noise do you hate?
My son crying.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would have loved to have been a baseball player.
And what profession would you not like to do?
The guy that cleans out the porta potties with that big tube.
Oh, yeah. All right. And last one. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
He's gonna tell me, I was worried about you. Come on in.
Efrain, man.
Henry, thank you
for being here.
Thank
I
you.
really
Appreciate it.
man.
Yeah, thank you.
All
It's
right.
fun.
Thank you. Cool.
That's a wrap.